What if your delay isn't a denial, but part of something greater you can't yet see? Why do some prayers seem to be answered instantly, while others feel painfully slow? And what if, in the middle of waiting for one miracle, another is already happening? There are moments in life when urgency takes over, when something matters so deeply that every second feels critical. You don't have time to wait. You don't want explanations. You just want change, and you want it now. Imagine a father standing in that kind of moment. Not worried about small things, not dealing with minor concerns, but facing something that shakes him at the core. His daughter is fading, and there is nothing he can do to stop it. No influence, no status, no resource can fix what is happening. And so he does something that many only do when everything else fails. He reaches out, not casually, not as a backup plan, but with urgency, with humility, with a sense of desperation that pushes aside pride. He doesn't approach with demands, he comes with need. And in that moment, there is hope. A response is given, movement begins, something is happening. But then, something unexpected interrupts the process. On the way to one urgent situation, another need appears. Not loud, not public, not even immediately visible. A woman, hidden within a crowd, carries a different kind of struggle. Not sudden, not recent, but long, exhausting, and deeply personal. For years, she has lived with a condition that drains not just her strength, but her hope. She has tried everything, sought solutions, invested time, effort, and resources, but nothing has worked. In fact, things have only become worse, and over time, something changes within her. When effort fails repeatedly, belief begins to fade. Confidence turns into hesitation. Hope becomes fragile. But still, something remains, a small, quiet belief. Not loud enough to be noticed, not strong enough to make a public statement, but enough to take one step. She doesn't call out. She doesn't push forward with attention. She reaches quietly, believing that even the smallest connection could change everything. And in that moment, it does. What years could not fix, what effort could not achieve, changes instantly, not gradually, not over time, immediately. And suddenly, what was hidden becomes visible. Not because she wanted attention, but because transformation cannot always remain unnoticed. There is a pause, a moment where everything slows down, because something significant has just happened. And this is where the story deepens. Because while one miracle has taken place, another situation is still waiting. The father is still standing there. The urgency he carried has not disappeared. And now, time has passed. Delay has happened. And then the news comes. The situation has worsened. What was once urgent now feels final. And this is where many lose hope. Not at the beginning, but after waiting. Not when things are unclear, but when the outcome seems confirmed. Because delay often feels like denial. It feels like missed opportunity. Like something could have been done, but wasn't done in time. And in that moment, everything shifts emotionally. Hope turns into disappointment. Expectation into silence. But then something unexpected is spoken. A call not to give in to fear. A reminder to continue believing, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This is difficult, because believing when things are uncertain is one thing. Believing when things appear finished is another. And yet, that is exactly what is asked. To hold on to trust, even when evidence says to let go. And so the journey continues, not with the same energy, not with the same confidence, but with a choice. To keep going. To not stop at what seems final. To move forward even when understanding is limited. When they arrive, the atmosphere is different, not hopeful, not expectant, but filled with conclusion. People have already accepted the outcome. They have already moved on emotionally. For them, the situation is over. But there is a different perspective present, a refusal to accept what others have concluded, a declaration that challenges what is visible, not ignoring reality but redefining it. And again, something unexpected happens. The environment shifts, noise is removed, distractions are cleared, because what is about to happen requires focus, not chaos. And then, a simple action, a call, not dramatic, not forceful, but filled with authority. And once again, the impossible becomes possible. What was still moves, what was silent responds, what was considered finished begins again. And in that moment, everything changes. Not just the situation, but the understanding of it. Because now, there is a new perspective. A realization that delay did not prevent the outcome. That interruption did not cancel the purpose. That what seemed like lost time was not lost at all. This is one of the most challenging lessons, because in life delays often feel like setbacks, interruptions feel like obstacles, and waiting feels like wasted time. But what if none of those things are actually negative? What if they are part of a larger process? What if what feels like slowing down is actually positioning for something greater? This requires a shift in thinking, a willingness to see beyond immediate results, to trust that timing is not always what it seems, and that what is happening in between matters just as much as the final outcome. There is also something important about the two situations. One is public, urgent, immediate. The other is private, quiet, long-term. And yet, both matter equally. This shows that no situation is too small or too large. No need is insignificant. No struggle is overlooked. Whether it is something that has been building for years or something that has just appeared, both are seen, both are addressed, and both have the potential for change. This is important because people often compare their situations. They wonder if their struggle is important enough, if their need is worthy of attention. But this shows that value is not based on visibility or urgency. It is based on recognition, and recognition leads to response. There is also a lesson in how each person approaches the situation. One comes openly, urgently, publicly. The other comes quietly, cautiously, privately. Different approaches, different personalities, different expressions of belief, and yet both receive. This shows that there is no single way to approach, no fixed method. What matters is the intention, the willingness to reach, to believe, to take a step, whether bold or quiet. And that step matters, because it opens the door for something to happen. Even when the outcome is not immediate, even when the path is interrupted, even when the timing is not what you expected, something is still moving, something is still unfolding. And often what is happening beneath the surface is just as important as what is visible. So the question becomes personal. Where are you in this story? Are you in a place of urgency, needing immediate change? Are you in a long-term struggle, feeling unseen? Or are you in a moment of waiting, wondering why things are delayed? Wherever you are, there is something to take from this. That delay does not mean denial. That interruption does not mean failure. That what seems final may not actually be the end. And that belief is not only for moments when things make sense, it is for moments when they don't. Because those are the moments where it matters most. Those are the moments where growth happens, where perspective shifts, where understanding deepens. You may not see everything clearly, you may not understand the timing, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important work is invisible, and sometimes what feels like a pause is actually preparation. So don't stop. Don't give up in the middle. Don't let delay define the outcome, because what is still possible may be greater than what you expected. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. Your support helps spread this message of hope and faith to more people. And be sure to watch the full video to go deeper into this powerful perspective.